What's up, everybody, and how the hell are my favourite people in the world? Don't be telling the family that, though. This is just between me and you. They know they're second. They know it deep down. They know I love you guys the most. How are you? I hope that you're all well, ready for the Euros that's coming up. Look, there's loads of transfer talk. There always is. There's always going to be. But as I always say, ladies and gentlemen, it's up to you and I to get together, stick our heads together, the Anfield Agenda Brain Trust, and see if we can pick through the garbage and get to what's real and what isn't real. Now, you can expect a Euros preview to be dropping tomorrow afternoon. I recorded that with Leon from Boyle Sports, but Mr. Connor Crosby jumped onto that video as well, so keep an eye out for that one tomorrow. And then myself, Jack and Leon will be doing their preview ahead of the England game as well, and I'll be doing a load of games on here during the Euros as well, so loads of stuff to come on. How are we? Loads of things to go through tonight. Right, so the big two, I suppose, that I know that you good folks are going to want to talk about is Tielemans and Pellegrini, because they seem to be, if we're looking at midfield scenarios, they seem to be the ones that are most in the headlines lately. Now, there was a journalist, I think, of Belgian origins, I think he used to work with the Daily Mail and a couple of other publications as well, who was saying that Liverpool are interested, or Liverpool are opening talks around Tielemans. Then there was stuff around Pellegrini, and yeah, he has a €30 million release clause in his Roma contract, which kind of made me a bit baffled to see that Liverpool had bid £25.6 million for him, which pretty much is his release clause. Although I will explain why there could be a possibility to that a little bit later on in the stream. We'll go through the forward options. We'll go through how fucking marvellous Caoimhín Kelleher is as well. If you guys didn't get a chance to watch him for Ireland last night, he made a couple of really smart saves. And there's a little bit of news doing the round today that maybe he could be staying at the club as the number 2 next season and not going out on loan. So, you know, there is a lot for us to unfold here. A little chat around the Euros won't do any harm either. But, yeah, look, I hope you're all well. Craig, would I take Lukaku at Liverpool? It's Jacob. It's real pie in the sky stuff, mate. It honestly is. He wants to stay at Inter Milan. He's very happy there, very settled there. There was a little bit of talk around him maybe going back to Chelsea at one point, but it looks like Chelsea are really going hard after young Haaland this summer. A bit of news on Chelsea as well today, which I'm sure that you good folks know about. They have matched Paris Saint-Germain's offer for Hakimi from Inter. So, you know, €60 million, I think, something like, or not, yeah, from Inter, Paris Saint-Germain. Yeah, that's right, sorry, I was just going back over the clubs to make sure I had them in the right order. So it'll be interesting to see if Hakimi does make the move to Stamford Bridge, or if he joins up at Mauricio Pochettino at Paris Saint-Germain. I did tell you guys, and look, it's common knowledge, that Hakimi was the one most likely that Inter Milan were going to try and sell off to raise money, because they're about £70 million there or thereabouts in the hole because of COVID and a few other bits and pieces as well. So look, there's loads to go through, there really is. But as always, I don't want to come on here and tell you what I've read. I want you guys to tell me what you want to talk about. Daka is looking less likely now. Why would that be, Harvey? And again, mate, this is a conversation. I'm not trying to undermine you. I'm genuinely asking. Maybe you've seen a little something that I haven't seen. Daka is better than Origi. Yes, Dean. 100%. No argument for me whatsoever on that one, mate. I will back you to the hilt. And I don't understand people who have so many doubts around Daka just because of where he's playing. You know, his statistics speak for themselves, and look, he isn't Haaland. You know, he hasn't put up those numbers. But he also, to my mind, wouldn't be the obvious flop that some think he could be. I genuinely really like Patson Daka, and I still am no closer to knowing if he could possibly be joining Liverpool or not. Now, there is another forward whose name has come to the conversation today, and I'll be touching on him a little bit later on in the stream. That is, of course, the £60 million striker that, well, the release clause is €60 million, but we'll go through that as well. Your Nana is better than Origi. Would you take less wages than Divock? You know, can we work on something here, mate? I mean, are you acting on behalf of your Nana here as an agent? Can I talk to you directly? Is there an email? Anything we can do? Talk about Rafinha, said Fenzi. I can talk about the fact that he most likely, almost certainly, won't be coming to Liverpool this summer if you want, mate. I mean, I don't know if that will disappoint you, but, you know, I'm always realistic in what I believe to be my truth. And, you know, it is only that, my truth. And everything that I've read suggests that he'll be there for another year at Leeds. He seems quite settled there. He's only been there a year, obviously, since making his, was it £18 million move from France. So, Yeah, I honestly don't see Rafinha moving this summer, particularly not to Liverpool. I think he's even intimated as much himself in previous interviews. Any news on Basuma? We seem to be out of that race, if we were ever in the race. Now, by race, I mean we've certainly been tracking Basuma for a number of years. It's the price tag that, seems to be an issue, but it's very difficult for me to come on and talk transfers with you good folks because, let's be honest, none of us know. Like, there's very little public information out there that we can back up with confirmed sources. Everything has gone rather quiet at the minute, and could be because a lot of people are off on their holidays at the end of the season. I don't really buy into the thought process that it might be because we're looking at the Euros to see who does what. Now, it could be that we're looking to make sure a player doesn't get injured, by all means. That could be the case, but I said to you guys before, and I think you might agree, we don't make many reactionary signings. So let's say, for instance, a player goes and has a really good Euros, but hasn't backed that up with previous form for his club. I don't think that will be the deciding factor of whether Liverpool do or don't sign anybody. Who's my ideal signing? Said Nath. Or is it Nath? Is it alright, Nath? I don't know if it's Nath or Nath, but who's my ideal signing? Well, I have to say Canade I think was spot on. I don't have any issues whatsoever with that one. I'm thinking of this in two ways, mate, so I'm not, blowing hot and cold in your answer here. It depends if we're going to bring in a midfielder. If we are going to bring in a midfielder, there's no shortage of very talented midfielders out there, and it's a matter of if the gaffer wants, a box-to-box number 8, if you want somebody who can play between the lines, which I personally would like to see. So then somebody like a Houssem Aouar, somebody... there's loads of good young players like Gravenberch from Ajax. But I just don't think we'll sign a midfielder. Now, that's not what you asked me, but I'd like us to get Daka. I've got to say, I think that it makes sense for us to try and get somebody that can play directly through the centre. Unless, of course, maybe Kloppo's plan is to do what I've suggested all along, which is stick Mohamed Salah through the centre and maybe give us a bit more option with the likes of Harvey Elliott, Divock Origi, definitely not Divock Origi, Diogo Jota, Sadio Mane, Bobby Firmino, maybe playing in and around behind. I'd like to see a bit more creativity. Now, I know our system doesn't lend itself to us often using midfield for creative purposes, but against the low block defence, it is often handy to have somebody like, let's say, a David Silva type player who can pick up those little pockets of space, play a pass around the corner, open up a tight lock defence. And that's somebody I'd like to see. Somebody of that ilk come in. Houssem Aouar would be okay, but I think that, that's probably me being a cheapskate and looking at what would be a rather cheap option. Keep Joel Matip. I've no doubts. I don't think any of us have any doubts about Joel's quality as a defender. I mean, when he's fit and available, I think we'd all trust him implicitly on the pitch because he's got a great range of passing, very strong aerially, can carry the ball forward, can break a line. I love the little runs he goes on, where he goes full on baby giraffe galloping forward with the ball. And so from that point of view, I've got no doubts about Joel. The only issues is, of course, around his injury record, and that also speaks for itself. So I don't think we'll be able to move him on because he signed a new contract last year. He's the wrong side of 30. He's got that injury record, and I don't think we'd get a fee that would be enough for us to say, yeah, look, let's get rid of a senior centre-back from the club. So I don't think so this summer, but I hope he has a fit season because there's no doubt in the lad's quality when he's fit. And what else we got? I'd rather have Kabak over Matip. Kabak could be going to Leicester by the looks of it. Certainly he's been mentioned there. And I agree, I would have triggered that £18 million option to buy Ozan Kabak. Now, I'm not saying I trigger it off his performances for Liverpool alone because, he didn't do enough. He didn't do enough at Liverpool on the pitch to show 100% that he could have made it. I just think if it had have been next summer and we weren't post-COVID and we were already scrambling around for money, I think we might have actually rolled the dice on Kabak, just a gut feeling, but, we didn't take up the option and he will go elsewhere. Will Simmacus stay? I believe so, mate. From what I've been reading and from the few people I've spoken to, yes, they expect this to be, I don't want to say his breakthrough season, but, where we really see why we signed Costa Simmacus as a backup to Robbo. And God knows Robbo needs a rest because the man played an ungodly amount of minutes this season. Do I want to see a 3-4-3? We've discussed this a few times and I'm not against it, particularly more so since I've seen how Thomas Tuchel makes the system work for Chelsea and how they still play with a very high line. They still play with good attacking threats. I just don't know if we have the personnel to play it with what we currently have, if that makes sense. Because, again, I'm going to get a little bit probably waffly here for a minute, but bear with me. So let's say we do go and we bring in enough centre-backs and we can cover the centre-back situation. So we'll work on the assumption it's Canade, Van Dijk and Joe Gomez. Then you got your wing-backs. Your wing-backs that obviously Trent Alexander-Arnold, Andy Robertson. Again, I think we'll probably agree on that. So you go from a 3 to a 5, but the problem comes with the midfield duo because in that system, you can only really afford to have one central midfielder and then you need somebody who roams, somebody who finds space, a Mason Mount, somebody to drop between the lines. And you don't necessarily need the Mane and Salah as wingers because your width is being provided by the fullbacks tearing down the flank. So you've got a bit more space for those creative players to do their things as well. So in theory, yes, I do like the idea of a 3-4-3 system. I'm intrigued to see if we even try it during pre-season. But it would still lend itself to me maybe wanting another creative player in there. But it would give the freedom to the likes of Sadio Mane maybe to roam around a bit in Diogo Jota and find those pockets of space without having to be kind of pigeonholed into a left-hand side or a right-hand side. Because as I said, we will have the full-backs who would be providing the width. If Salah goes, we got our boy Harvey. I don't think Salah's going to go. I mean, there's nothing to indicate he's going to go. I'm sure that the club are trying to tie him down to a new deal. We do know himself, Mane, Firmino, who else was there? Van Dijk, Fabinho, I think a couple of other, Alisson. The 6 of those names, maybe 7, I can't remember how many I mentioned, they're rumoured to have been a priority for the club to tie down. Some of them running into the last 2 years of their contracts. Sonny Lally, how are you? Thank you for the super chat. Said, all these signings make me feel the club has gone backwards while our rivals move on. Yeah, this is the part where I struggle to answer your question without sounding like an apologist for owners that I'm as annoyed at as anybody else. But I'm going to have a go at it anyway, so bear with me while I try and explain my thoughts. We've gotten to where we are, and look, I think last season was a bit of an anomaly. We were very unlucky with injuries. The season took its toll, no fans inside stadiums, and I'm not saying we were any hard done by any other club from that perspective, but I don't think it's the norm. I do think it was an anomaly, and even with just the players we have, I think we'll do okay. That being said, we're geniuses at going into the transfer market and finding undervalued assets. I know it's sounding more moneyball by the second here as I go along, but we are very good at it. Mohamed Salah, Sadio Mane, Diogo Jota. Yes, they were known players, but they weren't superstar players. But a lot of them now would be looked at as superstars. So I think if we do go out there and pick up, let's say, a Neto or a Rafinha or a Daniel Malin or Patson Daka, I think whoever it is that Klopp brings in, I expect them to be a success because of the way we go about our business. Now, that doesn't mean I'm happy about it. That doesn't mean that I wouldn't like us to have been in the Sancho situation, the Kane situation, the Mbappe situation. But we have to base this realistically off what we've seen under the owners that we have. And what we've seen is we only go big when we sell big. We haven't sold big, which is a good thing. But then we have to have the other side of it, which is, and this is what you're going to hear, a lot of our money's been tied up signing these guys down to new contracts. They've achieved the success at the club, which they have, which entitles them to a new deal. And then the vicious circle starts all over again. That's the realism of where we are. Doesn't mean I'm happy with it. I'm sure a lot of you guys aren't happy with it. But anyone that comes and tells you anything else, I think it's just spoofing you. And I'll never, ever lie to my fellow Liverpool fans because I think that's the worst thing you can do is to start filling people full of false hope and nonsense. But there are some good players to be had this summer. Like, there's no shortage of talent out there, and just because we may not get a Kane, an Mbappe, a Haaland, a Sancho, Doesn't mean we won't improve our squad. We will absolutely go out there this summer and improve our squad. We've done that with Canade. Pellegrini, let's have a little chat around Pellegrini for a second. As I said to you guys at the start of the stream, he's got 1 year left on his contract with Roma. Jose Mourinho coming in to take over the reins as Roma manager at the end of the season, or the start of the next season, excuse me. I think he's doing, if my memory's right, he's working with the rag. Urgh. Dickhead. Over the course of the Euros, and then I think he's got some TV work or something as well, and then he's gone over to take over as Roma manager. So we know he's got a €30 million release clause in his contract, and we know that a lot of Italian clubs are a bit pressed for money. Now, the reason I was saying to you at the start of the stream was, sometimes it seems a bit odd when you hear Liverpool make £25.6 million bid for a player when that's his release clause, because, you know, the translation to euro gives it €30 million. But I wonder, and again, just thinking out loud, I wonder if when you trigger a release clause, usually you got to go in and pony up the dough. So you got to go in and put a check, whether it be in the club's account, the FA account, the league's account, whoever it might be. And I wonder if the reason we're hearing the words offer around the likes of Pellegrini or any player that has a release clause, Canade was a bit different. I wonder, is it because we want to pay it in installments and we're hoping that they'll take the fee that they want, but not in one lump sum, because we can't afford to do that this summer. So let's say it was Pellegrini as an example. Well, maybe they give Roma 10 million up front and then they spread the rest over a few years. I'm just spitballing here, but that's my take on it. Neto was injured, Craig. I don't really think that he's not going to be injured forever, mate. You know, I get where you're coming from, but it doesn't mean that we still won't be in contention to look at the lad. FSG out till I die, said Neil Kavanagh. You are, of course, absolutely entitled to your views, mate. And I'm, you know, I'm underwhelmed on some aspects as well, mate. You know, and there's no going back for me with the Super League stuff, which, by the way, apparently we're going to have to fork out £3.5 million for as a fine from the Premier League. I believe the owners are going to pay that out of their own pockets, but I'm also not naive enough to think that somehow that cost won't be passed along and paid for by fans of some club, whether it be us, Red Sox, whoever it might be. Philip Hunt, thank you for the super chat as always. Dude said a 3-4-3 formation would increase our rotation across the field, would also be a substitute for not signing a midfielder. Daka and Tielemans must sign. I don't really disagree with anything you've said there, Philip. Not that I want to, my man. And it would also give us the option of hanging on one more year for, you know, my new choo-choo. Yeah, a double chew for Jude Bellingham, which is how I'm going to measure transfers, by the way, as the summer goes on. Does it get one chew, half a chew, or double chew? So, yeah, I agree with you. And, you know, Thomas Tuchel has shown that in the Premier League and in Europe, that system can work very effectively. Chelsea managed to be very tight defensively while still having a good attacking threat moving forward with the system Tuchel uses. We could sell Grujic for 20 million to get funds for more players. Right, so there is a bit of news on Marco Grujic. Porto want to keep him. That's no surprise, because I still believe Marco Grujic is a fine footballer. And they're trying to strike a deal. Now, I don't think it'll be as high wherever he goes as the 20 million that you've mentioned there. Who was it? I want to get the guy's name right, just to I like to address people when I'm speaking to them, so 1 second. Oh god, I've lost it. Oh, there you are. RSH14, there you go. Yeah, I think we'll get maybe 12 to 15 million, hopefully on the upper end. It could be 12 with a few add-ons and as such, but, you know, I think this will be the summer where he does move. Somebody else said, gotta love crackhead, Craig. You spelled the crackhead part wrong. Like, I'm not crackhead as in I'm gonna smoke some crack. It's C-R-A-I-C in the Irish way, dude, but again, there you go. Excuse me. Craig, do you think Firmino needs to leave? I was having some worries about Bobby as the season went on, but I think those worries were put to ease when I seen him get back to what I think is his best self towards the end of the season. So no, I wouldn't like to see him move on, but you know me, I'm greedy. I want everybody here, especially, you know, I don't want to get rid of my favourite player, which Bobby Firmino is. Right, some more of your thoughts. Thoughts on Mane decline this season? One-off or the start of his decline? You know, anything I say here, Damon, is going to be just opinionated because Sadio knows his own body better than any of us. I I did appreciate, and I did think it was very fair of Sadio to say that it hasn't been his best season. I mean, seems very self-aware enough to come and say that, which... but I still think he offers something that a very few players offer, and that is the unknown. Sadio Mane with the ball at his feet, with a defender standing in front of him, both of them standing dead still, you never know what's going to happen. He can just electrify it in a second to go past them. He can cut inside, and he can do the unthinkable at times. So I hope that it was just a little blip, and I hope that Sadio comes back and shows us what he's capable of, because Sadio Mane in form is a thing of beauty. It is a thing to behold, and I think we all hope that he's not on the decline. Right, some more. I haven't forgotten about Isaac. I will get on to Isaac, don't worry folks, I'm not ignoring all those. We've got a new member in, or a member back, PC Drat. Welcome to Anfield Agenda FC, my man. If you guys want to become a member of Anfield Agenda FC, all that you have to do is click on the link. You might see a blue join button. If you don't see that, there's a link in the description. And what that means is you become a member of Anfield Agenda FC. You get our logo beside your name. You get the Anfield Agenda emojis that Connor has designed for the channel. I think there's 12 or 13 of them. You get into our Discord group, which is where we're offline talking to you guys pretty much 24/7, because I rarely sleep normal times anyway, and it is $4.99 a month, which is I think the same as most other channels. Right, loads to get through, and welcome by the way, dude. Thank you very much, I really appreciate it. I often wonder why people send super chats and aren't members. I don't get that for some reason. Maybe my stupid brain can't compute, but so there's some people that often send super chats very regularly, which is extremely kind, by the way. But I just feel you'd get more value for yourself if you were to become a member, because you'd get into the Discord group, you'd get the transfer gossip that we don't want to bring to the channel because, you know, we can't stand over it, but it is gossip. A few other bits and pieces. You get access to some videos beforehand as well, and a few bits and pieces that I think is fun. So it's just worth a thought if you are somebody that sends super chats. Right. Craig, has it been released yet, or do you know who'll be working with during the Euros, Craig? Has it been released yet? Oh, has it been released yet? Who I'll be working with during the Euro? Sorry, John, I was all over the place with that. I believe tomorrow, mate. So how do our Discord group know exactly what I'm about to say, because I always give those guys the heads up. But my presenting, if that's the right word, hosting of watch-alongs during the Euros is going to be split between two platforms, two channels. I'll be on Anfield Agenda for all the England games and a lot of the major group games as well. We have a deal with Boyle Sports, which we're delighted to have, and I'll be hosting a lot of games, and Jack Gill will be doing some as well. But you're also going to see me on a more prominent platform, which I'm very proud to have been asked on, if I'm being honest with you, and something that I think you guys are going to love, and it's going to kick off tomorrow. I think I'm doing something on there tomorrow, so it won't be a secret anymore. And then I'm very proud of this, I have to say. And then there'll be a dual watch along over the weekend with someone that's going to I'm just going to say Dream Team. That's all I'm saying. But, you know, it is what it is. I can't give out any more information, but, you know, if you do come into the Discord group, you'll find out quick enough. But tomorrow, all will be known. It's not my place to announce it, that's why I can't do it, you know what I mean? It's not my platform. Philip, welcome to Anfield Agenda FC, my man. Great to have you in, dude. And Connor's going to post a refreshed Discord link, by the way, for those new members that are coming in. So if you're a new member and you're looking for the link, it's going to be under the community tab of our YouTube channel. Only members will be able to see it. Right, what have we got? Do I prefer Aouar, Bissouma, Rafinha, Daka, Brandt, Neto, Tielemans? I'll go through them one by one, Liz, if that's okay. Aouar, I'd have, yes, no problem with Houssem Aouar, for a reasonable fee, because Lyon are in a bit of a financial mess. But we also know that Jean-Michel Aulas, the Lyon president, is not the easiest dude in the world to deal with, but I'd have him. Bissouma, not at 50 million quid. As a player, very, very fine footballer, but I don't see us spending 50 million. Rafinha, I love Rafinha. I would. I know we'd all love a bit of Rafinha at Liverpool, but I don't see him leaving Leeds this summer. I honestly don't. I think he'll stay there. Daka, again, in a heartbeat, I'd have him. Brandt is the interesting one. That's a name. That was a blast from the past that we covered on last night's stream, or maybe it was the night before. So, Julian Brandt, looks like he's surplus to requirements at Dortmund. You probably remember the name being linked when he was at Leverkusen. He was linked with a move to Liverpool, and I think he may have actually turned us down, if I'm being honest. But you know, they've got a plethora. Is that an Irish word? They've got a whole load of wingers at Borussia Dortmund, even though Sancho looks like he's leaving. So Julian Brandt might be available, and I think he's 25 or 26, if my memory's right. So will Klopp want to revisit that? I honestly don't know. Neto, I'd again having a heartbeat. I like players that have something about them, a bit of the Luis Suarez fight, a bit of that kind of stuff. And I think Neto's one of those players, a bit snidey, and I like that in a footballer. And then Yuri Tielemans, again as a footballer, not really any issues. But would we pay Leicester what they would want to sell to a direct rival? And that's what they would view us as, because you know we're very close in the league this season, and Leicester are knocking on the door of Champions League, and their player recruitment has been excellent. But I hope I've answered all of those for you, Liz. Jens said, Kate said you need a new Discord link. Yeah, Connor's going to refresh it now, mate, don't worry. Right, loads more stuff to get through. It's posted up there now for any new members. Thank you, Connor, legend. Right, Isaac, let's get on to this kid. So Alexander Isaac has been a name that I've got to be honest, I've known about as a footballer, but never really seen links to Liverpool until today. Now, I might be a bit slow off the mark on this one, my good friends, but Isaac looks like, again, it's the release clause that gets me on this guy. So he was a Dortmund player. He's had a couple of moves here or there, a few loans, and now he's at Real Sociedad, where I think he's bagged 17 goals in La Liga this season, something along those lines. And he has a buyout clause of 60 million euro. So that translates to probably around 51, 52 million quid in pounds. Now, he's with Sweden at the Euros, and you know, anyone that plays Football Manager or FIFA or anything like that will definitely know about this guy. And I know a lot of people from that part of the world rate him very, very, very highly. So could be one to keep an eye on. You know, I'm not going to sit here and claim to be a font of knowledge on the guy, but he certainly looks like a talent. And Sociedad are a team that had a lot of good young players in it this season, and he was one of them. So again, keep an eye on it. It's a new name to add to the potential striker list of, along with Daka, Malin and a couple of others like Vlahovic that have been thrown around as well, the guy from Fiorentina. And the truth is, none of us know. Nobody knows. Anyone that tells you that they know are lying to you. Or I need to get to know them, and they can help me as well. Less of a risk than Daka, said Jeremiah. Was this with relation to Isaac, mate? I mean, two good footballers. Again, I'm not going to claim to know a lot about Isaac, but the people whose opinion I value highly certainly rate the lad a lot, and I have very, very good things to say about him. It's certainly going to be a player that I'm going to spend time having a little look at a bit more, because I like to have run the rule over any potential transfers, like I'm sure you guys do as well. He's tall, 6'4". Sorry, Dara, when I said plethora, is it an Irish word? I meant, is it like a phrase used in Ireland more than where the word originated from? But thank you for finding out it was a Greek word, dude. I mean, you're an intelligent bloke, and thank you for that one. What about the Vieira guy from Porto? I've not seen it, Bob. I'm just thinking through here now. If there was interest there, and I don't know if there is or isn't, you would suggest that if they want Grujic, you know, could help each other out there, but I don't know. There was another one, Romero, from, who's he playing with? Romero. He's at Atalanta, but he's owned by Juventus. Argentina international. I actually watched them playing last night. He'd been linked with a move to Liverpool as well, but I don't think that there's much legs to this one, ladies and gentlemen. I mean, if he's at Atalanta, but his registration, I think, is owned by Juventus, you know, it's always exciting when you're linked with a South American player like an Argentinian, but I don't see anything. I mean, I don't mean Sergio Romero, the keeper, by the way. Mitchell Costello, welcome to Anfield Agenda FC, dude. Great to have you with us again. I can see you. Is that a new badger? I always get mixed up between the gold and bronze. But either way, Mitchell, welcome, dude. Great to have you. Hope to see you in the Discord group a little bit later on. Another centre-back, said Anthony. I guess there's a couple of trains of thought here, mate. So we've got Canada in. That's tickety-boo. We need to see how Gomez progresses, how Van Dijk progresses with the recovery. We do, of course, still have Nat Phillips, although it looks like he'll move on. I expect Reece Williams to go out on loan again. We've got Baby Giraffe that we spoke about earlier on. Sorry, his name slipped my fucking head there for a second. I'm playing catch up today, folks, at times. Excuse me. So we have enough bodies and then young players coming through as well who, you know, are they going to be the fifth or sixth choice backup? I don't know. I spoke about it with Jack yesterday. I have one personally, yes. I wouldn't mind another one, particularly if Nat Phillips moves on. But we do have Sepp van den Berg, and he probably going to go back out on loan. Had a good spell with Preston, seemed to really enjoy his time there. So, you know, as well as having a few other good, strong young centre-backs coming through. So it's tough. It's tough about, do you block that pathway? Do you give somebody the opportunity like we've seen this season with Nat Phillips to show what he can do? Billy Comedio as well. You know, he has to be thought about. So, yeah, it's a tough one, dude. But I would have triggered the Kabak 18 million clause. Thoughts on Harvey Barnes? Of all the Leicester players, mate, I know he's injured, but of all the Leicester players, that was the one that I would have thought Klopp had the most interest in. Harvey Barnes, to me, looks like a Jurgen Klopp footballer. Very versatile, very, very good, great engine. So for me, I think Harvey Barnes would be a great piece of business. But I don't know if there's anything to it. Missed the super chat from me earlier on. Cheers, mate. Did I mention my apologies, my man? Jens, scrolling back up. Sorry, dude. Do you want to just whack it back in and I'll find it, mate? Sorry, that's my bad, and I do apologise, Mitchell. I thought I'd read another one of your super chats earlier on, but again, I apologise, dude. Boy, Kante, big brain. Oh, I'd love a bit of... Who wouldn't love a bit of N'Golo Kante? Let's be honest. I mean, what a man. What a man, what a footballer. Would I have Mbappe or Haaland? Mbappe. For me, Mbappe every day of the week. Would I sign Jack Grealish? God, yes, but we won't be. Even saying this next sentence fills me full of fear. But there's a lot of belief that Manchester City are going to try and move some players on and sign Harry Kane and Jack Grealish. Now, I know Manchester United have also been linked a little bit with Grealish, but if they sign Harry Kane and Jack Grealish, that's a daunting prospect. Now, there's talk that maybe Sterling could move on. There was a little bit of news yesterday saying that they could be interested in a swap between Bernardo Silva and Saul Niguez from Atletico Madrid, which again would be an interesting one. Maybe, I don't know what the situation is with Bernardo Silva. Maybe he hasn't settled. Maybe he's fallen out of favour with Pep. I honestly don't know. What I do know is that his... No, I'm not going to go there, sorry. I was just going to have a little bit of a bitch and moan about the, when we won the league title and all that, but I'll try and be the bigger man. I certainly am when it comes to height with him, but yeah, apart from that. Sabitzer for 15 million, would I take him? No. This Sabitzer link has been around for a while. I seen a story on today as well that suggested he could be available for 15 million, but I think that's his agent just trying to hawk him around as many clubs as he can to get interest. He's a decent footballer, don't get me wrong, but not good enough. Not good enough. He's not what I would see as an undervalued asset, which we spoke about earlier on, somebody who Klopp looks at. Renato Sanchez now, he just smacks of a Jurgen Klopp type of signing to me. I think Jack, we spoke about this last night as well. Renato Sanchez broke through, young prodigy, came through Benfica, Bayern Munich, ended up at Swansea, didn't work out, eventually found his way to Lille, where he started to show again the Renato Sanchez that we all thought that he was going to be. Helped Lille to the French league title this season and has been linked with a few credible sources to have been at least been watched by Liverpool. I've got no idea what it may take to get Renato Sanchez out of Lille. I don't know if his experience in the Premier League would be one that he doesn't want to revisit, but you could see why Klopp would look at the likes of Renato Sanchez and go, you haven't been at your peak yet and there's a lot more to come. So that's the type of signing to me that reminds me of a Klopp signing. Rio accepted your bet. Yeah, no, he hasn't, mate. Grealish is a show pony, good player, but not good enough for Liverpool. You know what? Probably a few months ago, John, I would have agreed with you, but the more I watch Jack Grealish... Now, I have spoken before that I wonder if the amount of times he gets fouled would stop a rhythm of a team like Liverpool or Manchester City. But I don't think you can deny the lad's talent anymore, mate. I mean, I genuinely think he is a supreme talent. Who's the striker? We spoke about Isaac, mate. The 60 million euro guy from Real Sociedad with the buyout clause. So that Alexander Isaac is the guy that we're speaking about. We touched on it a little bit earlier on. People are forgetting Rafinha would be key for us during the time Salah and Mane are gone. Jota, him and Firmino. There's talk that tournament could be postponed again, by the way, the AFCON. At least there was a little bit of news doing the rounds in the last couple of days that it could be postponed even further. So, you know, I don't know why they moved it again. You know, they had made it the summer tournaments, which meant it didn't impact the Premier League. Then they changed it back to January. But look, Rafinha would be great. I don't think anybody here is going to deny that we'd all take Rafinha in a heartbeat. But realistically, it doesn't look like he's going to move this summer. At least not unless an ungodly amount of money gets thrown at Leeds. Ivan Toney. I mean, I can't see why he wouldn't stay the season with Brentford after coming up to the Premier League. I know Darren McAnthony, when Jack spoke to him on our one of our live shows, or actually was pre-recorded a while ago, he was singing. Darren McAnthony was singing Ivan Toney's praises. I think he had him at Peterborough for a while on loan, or maybe he was a Peterborough player. I just know he played with Peterborough at one point. And look, has gone up through the leagues and has banged in a shit ton of goals everywhere he's gone. So Ivan Toney is going to get his chance in the Premier League, and I think a lot of clubs will be looking to see how he gets on with Brentford. And look, Brentford are going to spend, by the way. I don't see Brentford going back down. I think Brentford are an ambitious club who will be doing everything they can to stay in the Premier League, and I think they will. I really do. So maybe next summer you'll see somebody come in big for Ivan Toney. Give Wilson a try, please. He's not good enough, Sonny. I mean, he just isn't, mate. Like, what has he done anywhere else to really say he's good enough to come in to potentially play for European Cup winners or, you know, Premier League winners? He's done a little bit of flashes of brilliance on his loan spells, but honestly, I've not seen anything that makes me think... And what is he now, 23, 24, Wilson? He's not like he's an 18, 19-year-old kid. I don't get it. I think if 12 million comes in, we'll bite the hand off for the 12 million and add it to the kitty along with the hopefully Shaqiri money, Origi money, maybe Grujic money. Do I watch GAA? Bit of a glory fan, mate. I'll watch when Dublin are closing in towards the All-Ireland for the next, what is it, the sixth time next time? Thoughts on Ollie Watkins? Very, very, very good player, and again, somebody who I look at and think, yep, can see him playing for Klopp. Got the work rate, got the pace, loves to press. Could be a little bit better in front of goal at times, but, you know, probably would get a lot more chances at a club like Liverpool than maybe Villa. Although Villa, again, have had a great season. I don't mean to be sounding like I'm knocking Villa, but yeah, I'd have him. I'd have Ollie Watkins. I think we missed the boat on that one as well. I remember, I keep coming back to Darren McAnthony, and the reason I am, by the way, is he's another massive Liverpool fan. So although he owns Peterborough United, and congratulations to Darren and Peterborough on getting promoted back up to the Championship, but he's a Liverpool fan through and through, Darren, and you know, I often email him every now and again because he's been very kind to us whenever we've needed an interview or anything, and he was telling us last year that we should have went for Watkins. What did Genie say? Yes, interesting. Right, so I want to get the exact quotes up on this because I don't want to be the one who gets this wrong. So I don't know if you guys had seen this, but Genie has started the process of letting it be known why he didn't stay at Liverpool. And this is a quote from Genie Wijnaldum. There are things happening behind the scenes that you cannot influence. What I do want to say is that the people at the training complex, the staff of the club, and my fellow players would have liked to keep me. That's a quote attributed to Genie. Take from that what you will. What I take from it is that everyone's a little bit pissed off that he wasn't given a 3-year contract. I think his brother is, or at least one of his family members, has been biting his tongue a bit and wants to go a bit more public with this situation as well. And it's confused a lot of us, because you look at James Milner, still playing towards 36 years of age, still playing, still with a great engine. And Gini Wijnaldum is somebody who I think we can all agree will play till he's 35, 36, 37. He has been a machine when it comes to fitness, always available, a trusted lieutenant of Jurgen Klopp's. And it's annoyed a lot of us that he wasn't given that 3-year contract, because I think he would have taken less money than he's now getting at Paris Saint-Germain. And, you know, he did want to work with Pochettino before. I think he was close to signing with Spurs when Pochettino was there before we signed him. At least that, I think I read that the other day. And I'll never understand it until we get told why that didn't happen. And if it is to do with the owners, then it's going to be yet another thing that we as fans won't understand the decision making by the owners, because he would have probably saved us money. And you can never have too many world-class players. And I do think Gini Wijnaldum is world-class. He is a good all-rounder. Yeah, we might not have gotten the most out of him from an attacking perspective like the national team have, but he was always one of Klopp's go-tos, and it still, to this day, pisses me off that he didn't get a new deal. And, you know, I hope the situation becomes clearer, because Gini deserves that. Gini deserves to be able to be open and say what he has to say. And it doesn't surprise me at all that that the players and staff members wanted to keep him there, because he looks like a good dude. The hate he's getting on Insta comments is mad. Look, I'm going to say this very, very clear. There are some sections of our fan base that are absolute spoiled little dickheads. They just do not appreciate the real world, and they do not appreciate those that we have. Jordan Henderson, 10 years of red now. 10 years. Liverpool captain, Club World Cup winning captain, Premier League winning captain, Super Cup winning captain, Champions League winning captain. And yet there's still some Liverpool fans that have the barefaced cheek to doubt Jordan Henderson. So I would suggest that maybe your comment was aimed more at the Barca fans who are like, well, we didn't want you anyway. I am a Barca fan as well as a Liverpool fan. They're the only club to me that I pay any other attention to. And again, I would say that there's an awful lot of dickheads in the Barcelona fan base. An awful lot of spoiled little brats that are used to having things their own way. To seeing, you know, top-notch players coming in, loads of money being thrown at it. But they got to understand where they are right now in the pecking order. They're in a bit of trouble. Financially, they're a mess. They're trying their best to keep Leo Messi at the club. And there was an interesting thing that came out earlier on today as well around the whole Super League thing. So we know that Barcelona, Juventus and Real Madrid have refused to walk away from the Super League proposals. Well, UEFA have suspended their, I don't want to say investigation, but the disciplinary process around those three clubs. It's not ended, it's suspended. I would guess, and it is just me guessing, that it's pending some other challenge in the Spanish courts or something like that from Florentino Perez. But yeah, they have suspended the investigation into that for the time being. Hakimi is outstanding, but what would Chelsea want him for? James plays right back. I mean, it was the first thing Connor said to me as well, Kevin, is exactly what you've just said. You know, Chelsea being linked with Hakimi for a not insignificant amount of money, in excess of 50 million quid, as well as Haaland, as well as the money that they've already spent. Then you add to that Manchester City want Kane and probably Grealish, and United looking at Sancho, and there's a lot of head scratching from us Reds going, how are we broke? Where's the money? Where's the money, John? Jeremy Doku, David, is another name. Again, somebody was kind enough to let me know in the chat yesterday that Jeremy Doku was shown around, I think it was Melwood and Anfield when he was a 16-year-old, and he's been somebody who has been known as a talent for quite a while. I don't think he's lived up to that talent. Again, worth watching for Belgium in the Euros. I don't know how much game time he'll get, but worth keeping an eye on, and certainly somebody that the club have monitored and will probably continue to monitor. What else have we got? FSG brought us Klopp and therefore the Champions League and the Premier League. Absolutely spot on, Kate. But I often wonder, mate, do they over rely on Klopp's magic? Do they over rely on Pep Linders? Do they over rely on the brilliance of Michael Edwards in recruitment, although he is their man, to be fair. Michael Edwards is an FSG man, so, well, I mean, an FSG appointment, obviously he's been working in football previously and stuff, but I get where you're coming from, Kate, but it's one of those what have you done for me lately type scenarios for me, and that Super League fiasco, there was no coming back for me from that no matter what they did. Isaac, sorry, somebody wants to know what the £60 million players. Alexander Isaac, mate. He plays for Real Sociedad. He's got a €60 million buyout clause. I think he's 21 years of age, if my memory's right. Was at Borussia Dortmund, made his way eventually via a loaner to Real Sociedad, and has put in, I think, 17 La Liga goals this season and a few assists on top of that as well. So you'll get a chance to see him at the Euros with Sweden. Gini is good week in and week out. He's one of those players, Spyro, to me, mate, that you're always going to get a 7.5, an 8 out of 10 with Gini Wijnaldum. Did anybody have a chance to read that thread that I suggested to you guys from a guy on Twitter called Mo Chatra? Very knowledgeable dude, always writes good in-depth threads around. This one that I was talking about was the Mbappe situation. Basically, I don't like to give a synopsis of somebody else's work, but saying that the numbers are possible around him. The wages will be the big issue. The signing on fee, possible, entirely plausible, but the wages and how that could be structured and would paying Kylian Mbappe 500 grand a week cause unrest. It would definitely blow our wage structure wide open at the club. But as I was saying when we spoke about this, if you're sitting down this summer with Big Verge and you're sitting down with Alisson, you're sitting down with Mo, and you're sitting down with a few other players, Fabinho, and you're going to give them new deals, well, that's going to blow open our wage structure anyway, isn't it? Because they're not going to take less money than they're currently on. They're going to want, I know we give incentivised contracts, and when we win stuff, the players get a lot more, but these are guys who've already proven that they can do it at the top level now. So I would say that these guys are going to be on a fairly hefty wage anyway. So, yeah, and I know that people are going to think FSG would never, ever, ever go for Mbappe. I know that. But I will also bring you back to the time that he was leaving Monaco to join Paris Saint-Germain. And it's well documented that John W. Henry flew him and his family around one of the bays in France. I don't know if it was Nice or Marseille or somewhere like that, on his private jet, trying to convince him to make the move from Monaco to Liverpool. He chose Paris Saint-Germain at the time, and the rest is history there. But they certainly have an interest in him. They certainly know what his markability would be. They certainly know how they could make a pound note off Kylian Mbappe. So, it's highly, highly unlikely. But it is something they will explore. And, the problem I don't think would be only just around his wages. It would be how his wages would then affect the other stars. And would they then come and knocking on the door going, well, he's getting this amount of money, so I want 400 grand a week. I want 350 grand a week. Because we already have the second highest wage bill in the Premier League, which honestly baffles the shit out of me, because our highest paid player base wage is about 200 grand a week. Mbappe is not only an excellent player, but a good business decision, especially with the Nike deal. 100%, Kevin. I mean, you can see the crossover. So we know that King LeBron is, he's now an owner, part of FSG's ownership group. He's obviously got his own Nike stuff, and Mbappe and himself. Mbappe's a huge Lakers fan and a huge, I know he's a huge basketball fan. I presume he's a Lakers fan. So yeah, you can see a few things there. And look, we do have a particular deal with Nike that sees us get 20% of all Liverpool branded Nike merchandise, on top of the guaranteed 30 million a year. But like $500,000 a week's a lot of money. So unless Nike stepped in and maybe there was some extra sponsorship stuff with Kylian Mbappe, so let's look at the Real Madrid situation there. The thing that always, and it's not impossible, but the thing that always made me wonder, would Nike be happy with Kylian Mbappe going to Real Madrid, is do they want to see him wearing an Adidas shirt week in and week out? Now, of course, he could still have his Nike boots and still do all his Nike stuff, and it's not unknown for players to make these crossovers. For instance, didn't Neymar just recently leave Nike because of well, there was an issue, and I don't want to say much more on it, but he's now with Puma, so it's not impossible. It can be done. But you'd also think that if Kylian Mbappe was going to leave PSG, who are a Nike-branded club, and go elsewhere, for Nike, as him being a Nike athlete, Liverpool would be far more palatable than him going to the likes of Real Madrid. Again, bit of pie in the sky stuff, but there are then things to think about. And then the stuff that, mere mortals like myself just don't understand. Right, what else have we got? Ronaldo was literally signed with Nike, lol. I don't know what the fuck that means, mate. I mean, Juventus wear Adidas shirts, lol. But, man, if you've got something to say, lol, then just say it, Jeremiah, lol. Where has all of our success cash gone? Something not right here. Look, I don't think the owners are pocketing a load of dough here. I really don't. One thing that we can't label our owners about is being owners that are creaming cash out of the club like the Glazers are. To my knowledge, I don't think that John W. Henry and FSG have taken a cent out of the club. They did lend us money for the main stand. They will be lending us money for the Annie Road end completion. And there was a small bit of interest on that, but from what I was led to believe from an accountant, these things are often done because you need to cover the cost of inflation over the term of that loan. So they're not the worst owners from that sense. They're going to make their money long term, and it will be a shit ton of money. Don't get me wrong. What they've invested and what they'll get in the long run is minuscule, but it's much like you or me buying a gaff, doing it up, putting a nice back garden in, lashing an extension on, putting in a few Velux windows and selling the house for a profit. So from that point of view, but I still get your question, mate. I still understand where's the money. Revenue streams going through the roof, record shirt sales year on year, whether it be with Nike, whether it be with New Balance, particularly around home shirts, increased commercial partnerships. We even had a fucking coconut water partner at one point, so I do get where you're coming from. And I'm not qualified enough to give you that answer, mate, but I would suggest looking up the likes of Kieran Maguire, who's a football finance expert, who is very, very, very knowledgeable around this type of stuff. And again, the likes of Mo Chatra on Twitter, very knowledgeable dude, and not a spoofer, will give you good stuff as well. So Swiss Ramble, another great one to keep an eye on around football finance for stuff like that. Any more news on Rangers versus Liverpool pre-season? It looks like there is going to be a game. At least that's what was reported earlier on today, mate. So you could see Stevie G and Rangers coming down to play a friendly at Anfield before the season starts, which would be nice. Yeah, it'd be nice to see Stevie G back there with Rangers. We have a milk partner also. There you go, Kevin. Do you know what I mean? I mean, if the milk partner doesn't just get Ian Rush back for the Accrington Stanley ad, then they're missing a beat, aren't they? Return on investment. Oh, K-Dot, huge. I mean, when FSG sell up, they will make a big amount of money, but I don't begrudge them that money. I mean, of all the things they've done wrong and all the things we're angry at them about, from that perspective, I've got no anger. I would like to see more. I'd like to see a bit more. There's one thing being sustainable, and there's one thing cutting your cloth accordingly. And nobody wants to be the next Leeds or the next Bolton or, a club that was right up there and then fell away because of financial mismanagement. Nobody wants to see that happen. But nobody can tell me that we can't afford to go out there and drop 100 mil on a player. Surely to Jesus we can do that. Will I be streaming pre-season? The games, maybe, Ross. It'll depend on what happens, dude. They have fixtures haven't been announced right yet. Mitchell Costello, thank you very much for the kind super chat. Mitchell said, for me, the owner should stay because they've made our club better. I don't agree with everything, but I wouldn't trust another owner to not ruin us like United's and Arsenal's owners. That's exactly, you probably put it better than me there, Mitchell, mate. That's exactly what I was trying to say. Give me an FSG over a Glazer or over the Cronkies any day of the week, but doesn't mean we still shouldn't hold them to a high standard. Doesn't mean we still shouldn't want more for our club. That's our job as fans, to want the best for our club. But steady as she goes, I suppose, is the phrase that I'd use there, mate. And you know, the main stand is magnificent, and Klopp wanted a new training facility, and the AXA training facility was built on Jurgen Klopp's request, and that's magnificent. And the Annie Road end will be done, and they've transformed in and around Anfield, and there's a lot of positives, but every time we get a positive, they go and pull a Dejan Lovren and say something fucking stupid. So, yeah, I get it. And the excuses get harder to listen to the longer they're owner. So when they were fresh in the door and they were, you know, had Damian Kamoli there and they made some suspect choices, that was understandable. But the Super League stuff, it's almost amazing how stupid it was. How they did not know what the backlash was going to be. Or else they did know and they simply did not give a shit. And I stand over what I said when John W. Henry released that video, the apologetic video with the absolutely well chosen flowers for peace and serenity, and the camera angle above his head to make it look that he was a bit more old and frail and feeble, and Uncle John very, very... I didn't buy any of that shit. That was just pure nonsense, and you could see through it a mile away. So don't be under any illusions. John W. Henry, the Glazers, and what's the fella that owns the Cronkies? You know, they've been having dinners together at times. They've been having meetings together at times, and they're all other franchise owners. And I say franchise because I'm talking about American clubs here, and they don't have the romantic view of football that we do. They don't have the understanding or the belief system of, you know, earning your spot in the Champions League and relegation and promotion, because a lot of that's not the way American sport is. So there's a culture shock there, but again, it's still not good enough. If you would have just spoken to anyone, pulled somebody out of the club store and asked them about that Super League, and they'd have told you, ridiculous idea, there will be a major backlash. And that to me was the one thing I just can't forgive. And I will give credit where it's due, but I can never forgive that. I just can't. And look, it's only my opinion, and I don't want to steer anybody else's, nor do I want to stoke hate or vitriol, because I think positivity is the way forward. Right, look, ladies and gents, I can head off or I can stay on for another 10 minutes. Up to you. If there's any more questions you want to go through, I'm happy to sit on for a few more minutes and answer them, or have a chat. But, you know, if you think we've covered everything, I'm also happy to piss off. So, whatever you guys want. Any updates on Dakat and Rafinha? No, I said to Connor earlier on today, actually, that for a man who's been given time off international duty to sort out his future, there hasn't been many stories or talk about his future, has there? Like, there's been, you know, us Liverpool fans and West Ham fans, of course, you know, saying, are we going to get him? There's been a little bit of talk around Leipzig, of course, making the step from Salzburg up there, but generally it's been quiet. And you know, Canudes is representative, so, you know, keep an eye on his Twitter or his socials as well. Happy to stay on. Cool, good to go. Yeah, we'll do another 10 minutes, no worries. What's your top 4 predictions for next season? I think it will be the same as this season, although don't ask me for an order, mate. I think it'll be the 2 Manchester clubs, Chelsea and Liverpool. I don't know what order they'll be in, because a lot will depend on, you know, signings and stuff, but I do think that the rest will fall away a bit, even with Leicester being as good as they are with recruitment. I think we'll push up ahead again. I think there will become a bit more of a divide. And also another bit of news, which I'm sure you've seen, is that, excuse me, what's his name again? Nuno Espirito de Santo isn't going to be taking over Crystal Palace. Those talks have ended. So will he end up at Spurs? Will he end up at the Ev? I don't know. Brandt news. Nothing really new on that one, Duty Boy, which is a fun name to say. Sorry, I can't stop thinking about shit now that I've said the word duty. Yeah, so Brandt looks like he surplus the requirements at Dortmund and could be available for a reasonable enough fee. I don't know. I touched Ahmed on Vieira earlier on, Fabio Vieira. I don't know too much about the guy, mate. You know, Porto player, isn't he? And if they want Grujic, if we do have an interest in him, you know, maybe something could be worked. Spurs got a new manager. Did they? Have I missed something here? Did Spurs get a new manager? I know Wolves got a new manager. Spurs didn't get... Am I losing the plot here? Roma's old manager going to Spurs. I haven't seen any announcement about Spurs having a manager, to be honest with you. Are we talking about Fonseca? Is that the guy that used to be at Roma? Love your hair, mate. Oh, do you know what? You're fucking genius, you fella. Nobody's ever thought to talk about me being bald before, mate. Nobody. Wow. You can go to bed tonight and have Mammy read you a special little story that says, Mammy's brave little soldier went onto YouTube today and said to the big bald fat Irish man, love your hair, dude. Amn't I great, Mammy? Tickle my belly, Mammy. Tickle my belly. What have we got? I mean, if they are getting Fonseca, then they're fucked. That's one thing I will say, because Fonseca's time at Roma was filled with failure, disappointment, and bottling it at the big time. So if Fonseca is heading towards Spurs, if I was a Spurs fan, I wouldn't be happy. God, if I'm a Spurs fan right now, I'm worried. I mean, it seems like that. I think I'm the only person that probably hasn't been interviewed for the Spurs job at this point. Will Simmacus play more this season? Yes, Bailey. That's certainly the belief. I think he should. I think he should stay. Bill, you've asked about Simmacus as well. I think he should stay, and let's see what he can do, because we haven't really got a chance to see too much of him between COVID and injuries and stuff and getting up to speed. What was the Genie news? Just that he said this, mate. He said, there are things happening behind the scenes that I cannot influence. What I do want to say is that the people at the training complex, the staff of the club and my fellow players would have liked to keep me. That's what he said, mate. I'm sure more will become apparent, but look, I think you can read between the lines a little bit there. How tall are you, Craig, from a goalkeeper point of view? 5'10". I would have been on the small side for a keeper, mate. Definitely not up there with the Kelleher's of this world. And, it wasn't my height that stopped me ever making it. It was the fact that I just wasn't fucking good enough that stopped me making it. There have been rumours to Kelleher going out on loan. There was, but today, mate, funnily enough, there was rumours that he could well be kept at the club. I believe in Queeveen. I think he's a fine keeper. He played really well when he came on for us in the second half as Ireland last night. And by the way, how do I address this? Very, very, very disappointed to see people booing the England team for kneeling, to see people, a large portion of the crowd in Hungary, booing the Irish players for kneeling. It's incomprehensible to me, to be honest with you. I'm somebody that believes everybody should be given equal opportunity, but not equal outcome. So everybody should have the same chances in life. I want everybody to do well. I want everybody to find love. I want everybody to feel safe, feel peaceful. And I'll never understand this hatred, this bigotry, this having a go at people because of their religion. And I feel sad for the world when stuff like that happens. And look, I'm an old fart. I'm heading for 40 this year. And I've seen a lot of change in my lifetime. I've seen a lot of change in Ireland with immigration and stuff. And I've only ever seen it as a massive positive. I've gotten to hear new music. I've gotten to learn about new culture. I've gotten to eat new food. I've been given a great insight into other religions by people, and all stuff that just has let me learn and let me appreciate. And we're all closer together than we are different. We all have so many more things in common. So, I know that some people are going to speak around BLM and people are going to have their own views on the specific movement of that. That's not for me to talk about. What I will say is that whether you're a black player, an Asian player, a gay player, a Muslim player, you should only ever be judged on what you do on the football pitch. You shouldn't be judged on anything else. And anyone that does judge those people in that way, they need educating. And they need educating quickly. And we need to stand together on this one because, football is a beautiful sport, brings people together, conquers divides, and shows the best of the world in these global events. As much as we criticise them, it's great, and it's great to see football being able to do that, and football having the power to do good. So to the Marcus Rashfords of this world, to the Mohamed Salahs of this world, to the Raheem Sterlings of this world, I applaud them. And I think we all should. And I think we all should want that equality for everybody, because, you know, what's the fucking point? What's the point in carrying hate in your heart? What's the point in carrying negativity? Show love, be kind. Look, ladies and gents, I'm going to head off. Lots of love to you all. What's tomorrow going to bring? Keep an eye out for the Euros preview video that's dropping tomorrow. I'll be back tomorrow 8:30 as well. I'll also be on that other channel I told you about that you're going to see me on for some of the Euros, but I can't announce yet because it's not my job to do so. But exciting times ahead. It has been a pleasure to grow with you guys. It's been a pleasure to see you guys bring our channel to what it is. I'm eternally grateful for everything you've done for me on a personal level, and I know Connor is as well. You've given me support, you've wrapped hugs around me, you've helped me when I've been down, you've got me through bouts of when I've been really low. And anything I do, I'll always do with you guys in mind to benefit our community. So I love each and every one of you. I'll talk to you tomorrow. Lots of